off rip. That was strategic. Nobody can tell me any different that she didn't do that on purpose to set it off and get this man angry. Because, listen, I'm not a professional journalist, but what I do understand is that if I'm going to interview someone, I know how to set the tone from the beginning. And based on how this starts out is where the interview is going to go. So what she did was absolutely gaslighting. She expected it to go bad. She wanted to say, look, this is how he feels about black people. Watch this. He ain't messing with us.
Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But again, why would...
Are they going to be charging the officer? I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make those
Well, right now, for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine an innocent mistake?
You go after somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous. And you know, they have, the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing because sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision.
You're an active man. We see you golfing all the time. But if you win, you'll still be president at 82, which is older than Biden is right now.
But not mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's the question.
He's shot. But most people.
Would you consider?
Most people. I know many people in their 80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our greatest leaders. You look at throughout the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Oh, absolutely.
And who would
I think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated me. Oh, my goodness. And I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That was a nasty, that wasn't a question. She didn't ask me a question. She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I repeated your statement, sir, actually.
You said you would. You would
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
decision
If I
to step
thought
down.
that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive test. I think it's a great idea. And I took 2 of them and I aced them.
What can I do about January 6th? You've called yourself the candidate of law and order. Yeah. When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included broken bones, at least 1 officer lost an eye, 1 had 2 cracked ribs, 2 smashed spinal discs, another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint, that will never actually come off, especially in the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to the people that tried to
those rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would
ask,
you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon
innocent,
those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just well, they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the people
sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating officers
we're talking
with
about
flags.
Yeah, I think that he is kind of walking the line, especially with that question. I feel like she asked him about police immunity and he didn't exactly answer it. But then he also said that he would give immunity to the people that was beating up the police. And she said that, like, rioters beat up the police. And he said, well, we don't know. You know, like, I think that he's very ambiguous in that way. And I think that what's more important is that his policies haven't necessarily disadvantaged Black people in that way. And I think when it comes to tangibles, they could have asked him about his plan. He had a $500 billion plan for Black people that is available and easy, access that you could read. He had actual tangibles that he wrote up during his presidency. So there were things that they could ask him about. And I'm also curious why, this was the Black Journalist Convention. Why wouldn't Kamala come? Because there's not going to be probably really a debate between them. And this would have been a great opportunity for both of them to speak to the Black community, to maybe debate or, to both speak to the Black community. So I feel like it speaks volumes that's where he chose to spend his time. And then Kamala, where she chose to spend her time and the things that she gave us, a hip hop concert, versus an interview and answers and tangibles and things. So I don't know. I think that's valid on some levels that he came to speak to Black journalists.
See, they should have had Roland Martin on that stage. It would have went way different.
Or Tyreek Nasheed or Yvette Carnell.
Mark
I'm saying Roland is an actual journalist. Like, he should have been on that stage.
Yeah, I think it would have been great to have an actual journalist, an economist, a political activist. You know what I mean? A number of people on that stage that would have been able to fully flesh out what is needed by us. And even if he didn't have a full comprehensive plan, he would have at least had an idea of what we needed from him. And he would have had to, and if we would have held his feet to the fire, you can actually force him to address some of those things and go back to the drawing board if need be. But asking a person about how he felt about, I feel like it was a squandered opportunity. I feel like that was the perfect time to put our needs on the national stage.
It was a squandered opportunity, and it was a play into the trope and stereotype that Black people are emotional and can't be manipulated in that way, that you could bulldog and show them who's boss and, get with them kind of thing that they expect from Black women. And that will be moved by that. We didn't hear anything useful to our community. We didn't ask any valid questions, but, we let them know kind of thing. And that's not useful.
All right. Trev, did you speak on this already?
For the first video, I could say a couple things. So I certainly agree with the sentiment of Sweeney. They absolutely dropped the ball, like big time. There's so many things that we could have asked, so many direct questions that we missed from this. And who knows if we're going to get another opportunity like this. Like, he could just be seriously turned off and not even be like, damn, we came to Black people to talk, to see what's going on, and this is what they give us. And it's not a good look. So that's a major issue. I seriously have a problem though with him saying he didn't even say qualified immunity when he didn't say that to us per se, but if you watch the rallies and stuff, he'll actually mention complete immunity, which is problematic and scary as hell to black people, because when we're on the side of the road in the sticks and we understand that that particular individual or individuals have complete power over us, can do whatever they want without any consequence, guess what? Some of those people will. And we do not want to see anything like that. So it's crazy. And what I do notice is that Trump is very conscious of him being clipped up. He's been in the media long enough, and he knew that everything he said would be clipped. So with that, he held back and he tried to teeter-totter, try to walk the line as much as he can. It definitely was different than what he would have spoken like at the rallies, but he knows it's going to be clipped because the same media that's pushing him to see how he's going to react to black people and gaslighting him into that situation off rip. That was strategic. Nobody can tell me any different that she didn't do that on purpose to set it off and get this man angry. Because listen, I'm not a professional journalist, but what I do understand is that if I'm going to interview someone, I know how to set the tone from the beginning. And based on how this starts out is where the interview is going to go. So what she did was absolutely gaslighting. She expected it to go bad. She wanted to say, look, this is how he feels about black people. Watch this. He ain't messing with us. She obviously has some sort of agenda, and I wish she were on the far right and one of the other ladies were on the left so they could have got to it and had a much more productive interview. But some of those things are stupid. Like, why were you asking him about the rioters and stuff? I get that was a big deal, but that's not going to help us right now. That's not doing anything. So no matter how he feels about it, no matter what answer he could have possibly given for it, would have helped us get into a better place than where we are right now. There's no way we could have got a policy out of that. What was that going to do? How was that going to help? What is her thought process even asking that question? You know, it's not about being productive. What do you think he was going to get out of that? And that's what we have to ask ourselves sometimes. We have to be careful of who we have as our leaders and people who we have to represent us, right? I don't think that they should have been the ones doing it. They showed their ass on that one. And it shouldn't have been them because it could have went so much better. And I don't care if you were going to hold his feet to the fire, but do it on issues that we care about. Something that's going to be for the advancement of black people. So we ain't getting reparations. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's going to do it. Republican, Democrat, or independent, it's not going to happen. They ain't doing it for us. If you ain't realized it yet, yeah. And ask any politician about it, and they never agree to it. Nobody's going to do that. However,
Marianne Williamson did.
I've already done it before.
Anybody who's going to win an election, they ain't going to win on that. So it's not going to happen. But it doesn't mean that. So if we get that out the way and we understand that, what else are you going to do? Are you going to make it so you can write some policies that can at least help right the wrong? Can you make it easier for us? Are we going to have more opportunities for black people? Are you going to protect black neighborhoods? Different things like that. What are we doing to help our communities? That's what we need, right? And it's not going to be in the form of just straight, okay, this person's going to get 50,000 or what. It's not going to happen that way. The best that we can look forward to is for them to actually put some policies in place that are going to protect our communities and be for the advancement of it. Go ahead.
They've been doing state level reparations. It's like they did it at Evanston here. It wasn't much
on the federal level. You said on the state level, right?
Yeah, they've been doing research and funding on the federal level for a while. Like it just hasn't come to fruition. I'm not going to discount. It does seem unlikely, but politics a funny game, and leverage is the ideal thing, because that'd be like Israel saying we want y'all to fund a war over here, and people like that's never going to happen. Or
no, we knew that was going to happen. You know how much money's in war?
Yeah, but basically what he's saying though is as a group, we can leverage and get the things that we need because every group does it.
Yes.
Every single other group leverages their vote. They leverage their political capital in every way they can to get the things that they want and need from the government. So all we can say is you got to keep the fight up. You can still always be an agenda item. It can always be a demand. And honestly, you want to know what's crazy? The person I convinced, the person I found the easiest to convince on the need for reparations for black people was a staunch, racist, conservative white man. He was the first one I was able to convince in conversation. After I nailed it home and talked about the wealth gap and went down the line with him and how I was able to draw a line from slavery all the way to today, after I fleshed all that out for him, he was like, damn, you know what? You're right. We do have something that we do as a country have to pay for that. So it's not impossible, but when you have people, the problem is that we have people who are very ignorant to the topic, who don't know enough, going into space and speaking about it. And then what happens is it gets muddy and don't nobody, and then you know what I mean? That's what I've noticed that happens. But damn, Trev. Oh, what I wanted to say to you, Trev, though, was that somebody asked a real good question in the chat. They said, why weren't no black men up there?
Because I think it was a woman's journalist thing. I think it was.
It was the Black National Journalistic Association, wasn't it? I would assume there was some black men that'll be a part of that.
I seen the list. It's black men that are lifetime members on that list. I don't know why they didn't ask them, but okay.
I wanted to
you know what that is.
I wanted to answer, well, kind of like a comment that Sweeney and Trev had mentioned about you guys not understanding why she asked him about how he felt about the rioters. Well, she definitely was trying to gaslight him, but she was trying to stump him. But she was asking him, and I don't know if I'm the only one that got that, because what I got from that was, oh, I see what she's doing. He said that he wanted to give immunity to police officers that were wrong. And she was bringing up the rioters and how the police officers were beating them, assaulting them. And she was basically saying, you saying it's okay to give immunity to these people when rioters are peacefully rioting, but they're still getting assaulted. That's what she was trying to do. And that's why he played it safe and didn't say anything, because she said that right after they were talking about immunity for police officers. So that's why she was asking him.
She was
trying to say, you don't care?
Rioters beating police. She said that rioters were beating police officers. She was asking
what she was doing was proving his bias towards a specific group and showing that when it's them committing the crime, he don't want nothing done. In fact, he want immunity. And when it's another group of people, he want the police to move with impunity and them to have immunity. It's so bias. We all can agree that, I mean, he is what he is.
How I would have asked that question, though, because basically what it was that she asked him, okay, so you believe that those people were patriots, right? And he pivoted. He was like, oh, well, also, he was like, he started talking about the people who rioted and painted the goddamn monuments or something like that. My question to him would have been, so are you saying that you will also give them immunity as well because they're being patriotic? That would have been my very next question. If that would have been something I would have talked about. I'm not talking about none of that shit, but since it did come up in conversation, that would have been a question I would have asked afterwards was, okay, if you see what they did on Washington as patriotic and that you would give them immunity, are you also saying that you would give these people who painted these statues and things like that immunity as well because they was just being patriots?